Hey Facebook, this post was kind of confusing, so I thought I'd give you a spoken recording of it to make it easier for you to understand what's going on. And I may ad-lib a little bit and give you more information in that respect when I'm reading, since I wrote this originally. Here goes. Not all forces are symmetrical in relation to time. They can evolve or devolve over time. That is to say, does the picture look the same before and after? Then the force is invariant over time. If the force equations show a different scheme, like ignoring time completely and doing its own thing, changing as a result of combined actions, for example, and completing its action whether time is running forwards or backwards, the force is also time invariant. Zero effect from time passing is a subset of the group of force behaviors that ignore time completely. If the force is ordered in one direction and entropic in the other direction, it is time sensitive, and you can manipulate the direction of the passage of time to do and undo actions and sometimes results of the force. So let's go through that piece by piece and talk about it. We know that symmetrical means if it looks the same if you fold it in half along a particular axis in your imagination, or take a sketch of it and fold the sketch to find out where the lines of symmetry are. Like, for example, people are vertically symmetrical. That is to say, we have 2 hands, 2 feet, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, a bunch of teeth, and when you fold a person in half, it pretty much lines up. So that's cool. And not all forces are symmetrical in relation to time. That means if you pick an origin point and you start counting time after that point and time before that point in equal measure of the updating rate of reality, so that every update you check back and you check forward to find out what they look like. If it's symmetrical, that's really rare. Not all forces are symmetrical. The best we can usually do is say that they're invariant. In other words, time doesn't affect them, and an invariant to time object has much more freedom in its appearance, like a drop of water or a rock. Fire, on the other hand, as you know, changes over time very regularly, so as to interact with its environment and destroy its environment and grow and go out. So fire, as opposed to being time invariant, is what we call the main force behaviors and ignore time completely. That is to say, if a tape is burning and you rewind the tape, it'll still be burning. The fire will still be spreading. So you'll be running forwards in time, you'll be running backwards in time, you'll be trying to escape your nuclear attack or your neutron star explosion or your gravity well or whatever it is you're doing, and the heat from it will cause you great consternation because you'll burn no matter what direction in time you're trying to escape to, if you are a time traveler, that is to say. And so it's good to deal with problems when we encounter them. Other things, for example, like if I had a zipper and I ran the zipper up and then I rewound the tape and the zipper ran down in the rewinding, that's time sensitive. In other words, if you manipulate the passage of time, you can do and undo actions and sometimes results of the force. Now, rewinding a zipper is different than running the zipper down by hand for a lot of strange reasons that usually deal with quantum mechanics. In other words, quantities and how they mechanistically interact with one another, and not just quantities of one thing either, not just quantities of zipper. It's quantities of the parts in the zipper. They're whether you want to get into chemistry for that, or physics, or biology to talk about shape, or however you want to get into the classification of the quanta, or the quantities, as they're called. They took out the titties because it was making college students laugh. There's just quanta after that. Anyway, you'll find that there's a lot of different quantities involved in a zipper, and some of them are time invariant and some of them are time sensitive. So like we said, time invariant can mean it doesn't append to time, and it's time invariant and symmetrical in relation to time. That's a very mass produced, like sort of like hippie acid trip, like when they've got like the swirling colors and lights and stuff, like what you'd see on a Tool or a Beatles video, like from the Yellow Submarine days. That kind of stuff is sometimes symmetrical and sometimes geometrically artistic in relation to time. Most of my stuff isn't designed to be like geometric or repetitive or anything like that. It's mostly evolution of language and trying to be distinct when speaking so that you can't be confused for having said something else altogether than what you meant to say. I'm more about preservation of intent of the writer than making little patterns like ASCII art or whatever. So that's a little bit about symmetry, a little bit about time invariance, a little bit about time sensitivity, a little bit about time travel, and a little bit of safety advice in terms of fire. It's also a good idea for you to get into the tape industry, buy a tape player for like, I don't know, a fair price might be like $50 to $90 new. If it's up to like $200 or $300 new, you'd still be getting a good deal, but you want to really get one that's cheap. Buy a tape, buy a bunch of blank tapes, buy a camera, watch the tape, rewind the tape, practice with the tape, record on the tape. How do you record? With the camera. You plug the camera into the machine and transfer the video from the camera to the tape, and then you'll have your own little celebratory tape party. I've been trying to record to tape for the last 15 years and it hasn't been happening. None of the hardware works anymore. So if you can figure out how to do that and get back to me, I could do a lot better job of displaying and organizing these thoughts, because my computer software is like, streaming, no thank you. I'd like to play on demand, and not only do I want to play on demand, I want to have complete control of the tape that's being played so that I can forward and rewind it and record over it and edit it and add audio tracks and remove audio tracks and make a much better attempt at moderating the video stream than what's available. So that gets down to physics, the physics of time, and there's a lot of paradoxes involved in that if you time travel and interact with yourself over the course of the travel. So it's always like, they always like doing time travel with impartial people, so like instead of shitting in my swimming pool, I'll go to Barton Creek and I'll shit in Barton Creek, for example. I've never done that. I'm just saying as an example of like not wanting to interfere with your own systems. That's why public places are generally not as advanced or exciting as a home that's taken care of. Yeah. Keep it under 10 minutes, they say. So here's my 9 minutes and 30 seconds of video updates for the week. I'll be hashtagging this one day, it'll happen, but not on Facebook, because I don't want it to go into public media searches on a counterfactual, psycho oppressive site like Facebook. Anyway, 10 minutes, go. Bye.